There are people who feel uneasy when someone knocks at the door, not because they dislike others, but because something deep within them trembles at the disturbance of their inner world. They love solitude, silence, and the invisible walls that protect their energy. To most, this might look like coldness, but Carl Jung would say, it is not coldness. It is sensitivity of the soul. When you say, I don't like having visitors, what you truly mean is, my inner space is sacred. And Jung understood that more than anyone. Jung believed that human energy moves in two primary directions, outward or inward. The extrovert seeks life through interaction, but the introvert seeks life through reflection. When you dislike visitors, it is not rejection. It is a reflection of energy economy. Every visitor, every conversation, every noise that enters your home pulls a thread from your psychic fabric. To Jung, this wasn't a flaw. It was an indication of an introverted orientation, a rare type of person whose vitality depends on stillness, whose creativity blooms only in solitude. Society praises the outgoing, but Jung warned that forcing an introvert into constant company is like pulling a fish from the water and asking it to breathe air. If you resist visitors, you are protecting your own oxygen, your psychic breath. Jung wrote that the soul lives in a house. That house is your psyche, your inner structure. When you dislike visitors, it is often your unconscious saying, do not let them rearrange the furniture. Some people carry chaos like perfume. You smell it before they even speak. They enter your space and bring the noise of their unresolved worlds. And your intuition knows their storm will ripple through your silence. That's why your soul retreats. It is not antisocial, it is self-preserving. In Jungian language, this is the call of the self, the organizing principle of your inner universe, urging you to maintain psychic order. The person who dislikes visitors is often living under the influence of an ancient archetype, the hermit. Not the lonely wanderer, but the wise one who understands that solitude is not the absence of people, but the presence of self. The hermit withdraws not because he fears the world, but because he seeks to hear a deeper voice, the whisper of intuition, the murmur of dreams, the faint echo of truth. Everyone, at some stage of individuation, must pass through this archetype. It is the night phase of transformation, where external noise dies and the soul begins to speak. When you refuse casual visits, you are unknowingly entering this sacred process. You are listening for the voice of your deeper nature. But there's also a shadow behind this aversion. Every trait hides its opposite within. Sometimes, I don't like visitors is not just preference. It's protection from something unresolved. Perhaps long ago, your boundaries were violated. Perhaps your space was not respected. Perhaps you were expected to entertain others, even when your soul was collapsing. So now the psyche protects itself with avoidance. It says, I'll keep the door closed, because last time, it hurt. This is the defensive shadow of solitude, how the ego maintains safety when trust has been breached. But here's the paradox. The same walls that protect you can also imprison you. If you never let anyone in, you also never allow the possibility of healing. Your solitude becomes your fortress, but also your cell. The key is not to tear the walls down, but to make peace with what you're protecting inside them. Jung believed every person radiates an invisible field, a psychic atmosphere. When people enter your home, they bring their field with them, their emotions, their projections, their unconscious material. And sensitive souls, empathic, intuitive, creative ones, feel this energy deeply. They absorb it without meaning to. That's why you might feel drained after visitors leave. You didn't just host their body, you hosted their energy, their archetypes, their shadows. This sensitivity is both gift and burden. It means your perception is tuned to subtle frequencies. You can read a room without a word. You can sense when someone's mask is heavy with pain. But it also means you need recovery. Every psychic function must return to its source to regenerate. Your solitude is that source. It recharges the soul's electricity. We live in an age where being social is mistaken for being whole. We glorify networks, gatherings, visibility. But Jung knew that too much outer attention kills inner growth. He said, "Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens." When you choose silence over company, you are choosing awakening over distraction. You are withdrawing your energy from the collective dream and investing it into consciousness. It's not misanthropy. It's metamorphosis. The butterfly leaves the crowd of caterpillars not because it hates them, but because its wings need space. Within each of us lives two figures, the anima and the animus. When you prefer solitude, these two begin to dialogue. The anima brings imagination, feeling, intuition. The animus brings structure, vision, direction. In silence, they learn to balance, to love each other within you. When visitors come, this inner conversation often breaks. External chatter replaces inner alchemy. That's why your soul resists. It is in the middle of a sacred union, a psychological marriage that must not be interrupted. This is the process of individuation, the slow birth of the true self from the noise of the ego. And solitude is the womb in which that birth takes place. When you don't like visitors, others often take it personally. They think you're cold, rude, distant. Your solitude mirrors their emptiness. Your boundaries expose their lack of boundaries. Your silence reveals their inner noise. So they label you strange, because your peace threatens their distraction. In truth, they are seeing their own unhealed parts, their fear of stillness, their avoidance of introspection. To the noisy soul, silence feels like judgment. But to the awakened one, silence feels like freedom. If you dislike visitors, ask yourself, is this solitude feeding me or hiding me? There are two kinds of aloneness, one that isolates you from love, and one that initiates you into wholeness. The first is fear-based. The second is sacred. To heal, you must integrate both. Find stillness without fear, and connection without dependency. When you can sit in silence and feel peace, and then meet others without losing that peace, you have transcended the duality. You have become the self. In dreams, a closed door represents the boundary of consciousness, the threshold between the known and unknown. When you keep your physical door closed, your psyche may be mirroring an inner gate that protects something sacred, perhaps creativity, perhaps pain, perhaps transformation. If you open it prematurely, you risk letting the noise of the world scatter your focus. But if you never open it, you deny the soul's need to exchange energy with life. Do not force the door open, but listen to what it guards. Because what you guard is often what you are becoming. People who dislike visitors are often accused of being too selective. But selectivity is spiritual discernment. It means your soul has matured beyond superficial connection. You are no longer available for meaningless noise. You seek depth, authenticity, resonance. Your circle may shrink, but your vibration expands. You stop collecting people and start connecting with truth. This is not withdrawal. This is refinement. It's the universe pruning what no longer aligns with your inner garden. Yet Jung's wisdom always leads back to balance. He never glorified isolation permanently. He knew that after deep introspection, the soul must rejoin life, not as it was, but as it has become. Once your solitude ripens into self-understanding, you return to others not as a seeker, but as a giver. You bring wisdom instead of need, presence instead of noise. You no longer avoid visitors out of fear. You simply choose them consciously. That is the sign of an integrated soul, one that can be alone without loneliness, and together without losing itself. Jung believed that every psychological symptom is a message. Your discomfort with visitors might be saying, "I am not ready to host the world, because I am still hosting my own rebirth, and that's sacred." Because until you learn to sit with your own soul, every guest will feel like an intrusion. Silence, then, becomes your teacher. It mirrors your truth without distortion. And one day, you'll notice, you no longer dislike visitors, because you no longer fear losing your peace. Your inner home will be strong enough to stay still, no matter who enters or leaves. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." If you don't like visitors, perhaps your soul is reminding you that before you open your door to others, you must open the door within. And when that happens, your home, both inner and outer, will no longer be a place of escape, but a temple of peace. You will welcome not just people, but presence. Not just guests, but kindred spirits. And you will know, solitude was never your weakness. It was your initiation, the sacred silence through which your soul finally learned how to speak.